classroom I haven't had for a while. We had like liquid watercolor and I had really messy hands. So that was a fun change. But anyway, we found buttons and he was, ran to get his rainbow loom book and was like, I need to make this. So I'm very happy to be wearing it.
All right, that's good. Give your bracelet there too, because that was pretty cool.
I do. He asked me to wear this last week, but it didn't match my outfit. So I think he's still awake. So I'm not going to say that too loud, but I'm glad it's getting some airtime. He worked really hard on it.
Yeah, that's good. We appreciate that. So. All right. Well, we've had hopefully. In the chat it says rainbow always matches.
I mean,
that's the sentiment right there. Like, I don't know what it is. All right, so I think we've given everybody enough time to come on in, so I think we're probably ready to get started. So hello everyone, and welcome to week 4 of our webinar. I am Tim Bogatz, for those of you who are joining for the first time. I'll be one of the hosts for the webinar over the next hour, and joining me throughout the night is Amanda Hine.
Hello, I'm super excited about tonight. I think there are some really good ideas that are kind of getting into, like, now that we know we're going to do this for a while, what do we do next? And like, what are some best practices we can put into place to survive the long term? So I'm excited about our guests.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And as we do every week, we want to share just a little bit about some updates on the AoE website. You know, everybody at AoE has been working incredibly hard to get, you know, more articles, more resources, you know, get everything that the teachers are needing right now pushed out. So we're gonna just go through really quickly. Amanda's gonna highlight a few of these things because hopefully they're valuable to you and your teaching and everything that you're going through right now. So Amanda.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna zip through these really quickly. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you were good.
Okay, perfect. So the first article we published since the last webinar is called 7 Ideas to Make Your Virtual Meetings More Engaging. And I just want to show you this picture because I feel like it explains this article. If you were here last week for Lindsay Moss, she went through some really great ideas for Zoom and or whatever platform you're using. So definitely check that one out. This one is called How to Battle Art Teacher Comparison. So this is something that art teachers go through whether or not we're online teaching, but I think it's even heightened now because you're seeing teachers put out these cool YouTube videos or tutorials or coming up with these great ideas. And you can get into like, well, I'm not doing that or I'm not doing those same things. And so if you're feeling like that, I think this is a great article to read. We also have the perfect portrait lesson for online learning. So just a really great portrait lesson here from Jordan DeWild. We have 5 ways to manage teaching from home with a family. So if you were here a couple weeks ago, I went through a big presentation about how to develop a schedule for your family. And this is kind of building on that idea. That's one of the ideas in this article, but there are 4 other ideas for you there as well. And then we have how to use Google Classroom in the art room. So this was published a few weeks ago, but I like to bring it up every week because it's really good. Abby has tons of video tutorials about exactly how to use Google Classroom, how to set it up, through how to use it for different things. And just as a reminder, if you are a Flex member, you can take any of the content in Flex and upload it to Google Classroom or whatever learning management system you're using. So if you want to explore getting Flex in your classroom, Lindsay will drop a link. You can contact our team and we can get you started with that. Hopefully it would be something that your school might be interested in paying for. We've seen a lot of that happening in the past few days as administrators want to give their teachers access to quality resources and materials. So definitely check that out if you're interested. And then we missed this last week, but we also published 3 new Pro packs. So if you don't know, Pro is our professional development platform. So teacher-facing platform, professional development for you. We're going to be talking about this a little bit later in the webinar as well. But I just wanted to draw your attention to 3 packs that we just published that might have some ideas that could translate really well to distance learning, which would be number 1, collage for early elementary. Number 2, getting started with colored pencils at the secondary level. This is by Jen Russell, who's actually going to be joining us a bit later. And then enhancing artwork with digital integration. Obviously, this would be for your kiddos who do have access to tech, but some really, really interesting ideas in this pack. So Tim, did you have some things to share about the podcast as well?
I always have things to share about the podcast because I love them. So this week I spoke with Lindsay Moss, who was at the webinar last week. We just dove a little bit deeper on that topic of how to make virtual meetings more engaging, whether you're playing Pictionary or going on scavenger hunts or whatever you're doing with your Zoom meetings. A lot of great ideas there. And so we discussed that for a while. It was a really fun episode. And then on Everyday Art Room, Nick Hahn talked about how she's trying to offer more choice with her distance learning, and also how she's framing a lot of lessons through the scope of careers in art. So I thought that was a really interesting episode. A lot of good ideas in there. That was just published today. So it should be front and center on the website if you go there.
Awesome. Also on the website, if this is your first time joining us for a webinar, we have done 3 other ones, and you can find those on the AoE website. We've covered everything from specific tech platforms to specific lesson ideas, mindfulness. There's just a host of information there, including a bunch of downloadable resources. So be sure to check those out. We can hopefully drop the links for you. Each webinar has its own sort of article in the magazine where everything is housed, but you can also find it on the AoEU coronavirus webpage on the AoEU site. It's listed as a type of resource down at the bottom where all the resources, articles, and podcasts and all of that good stuff is.
All right, cool. Now, before we get started, I always have to go through housekeeping, especially for people who are new or who are watching this for the first time. So what is the webinar going to look like tonight? As I said, Amanda and I will be with you over the next hour. We'll be bringing on a few different guests to share some of their best practices. We have downloads available for you, and we'll make sure we link those in the chat throughout the night. And speaking of the chat, that's where all the conversation is taking place. It should be on the right side of the screen. If you don't see it, along the bottom of your Zoom, there should be a chat button down there. Just click on that, it'll make it pop up. And then one important thing, there's a little drop down in the chat right above where you type, and just make sure you're sending your messages to everyone so everybody can see what you're saying. And then, as Amanda said, Lindsay Moss is in there sharing links to downloads, articles, podcasts, everything that we mentioned. So yeah, check that out, join the conversation, and talk to all the other art teachers who are here. And then if you're on Facebook Live, Abby Shukai will be answering questions and guiding conversation and sharing links there. We would love for you to leave comments and questions there throughout the night as well. And then I think, honestly, the best part is just connections that you're able to make with other art teachers. So just make sure, you dive into the chat, ask a few questions, make sure you join in the conversation. It's all really valuable. And a lot of people always ask, are we saving the chat? Yes, we will archive that. It'll be up on the website. And we are going to record the entire webinar, as Amanda just talked about, so you can access it after the fact. You can view all 4 of them that we've done. And we'll also send out an email with the recording if you're registered. You can find it on the Facebook page, and you can find it on the website. All right, so Amanda, before we get started, can you just give us a big overview of what the plan is for the evening?
Yes, definitely. So we're going to have 3 different presenters tonight, all sort of focusing on the theme of connection. So the farther we're apart, I think the more we feel that and feel not being together and not being connected to one another, to our students, to our profession as a whole. And so that's going to kind of be our theme for the next hour. We are going to first be talking about connecting with students. And this was the number 1 answer to our poll last week, like what are people having trouble with the most? And people said connecting with students. So first up, we're gonna have Jocelyn Stevens come on, and she's gonna talk about how to teach 600 or hundreds of kids online. I know a lot of elementary teachers and some middle school teachers are feeling that right now. And then Jen Russell will come on to share more about just connecting with kids on a deeper level through distance learning. And then finally, we're gonna have AoEU's Dean of Student Services and Admissions, Shannon Loffer on, and we're going to kind of have a roundtable discussion about how to stay connected to the profession of art ed as a whole. So a lot of really good stuff going on tonight.
All right, and then just one last thing, a couple of reminders for everybody about best perspective to take, just kind of what we've tried to present here with the webinars, and just kind of what we want from everybody who's watching. So Amanda, can you kind of explain our thinking there?
Yes. So, as we've said the past 3 weeks, and we'll continue to say, just remember that everybody is doing the best they can with what they have and where they're at in the process. So, let's continue to give each other grace and understanding, to our presenters, to each other in the comments. I mean, that's been going amazingly well. Our teachers are really good at supporting one another. Also, just think about what ideas are going to work for you at this time. Our teachers are also great at taking ideas and tweaking them to fit their needs. And so think about what might work for you with these ideas. Maybe something won't exactly work, but maybe it will be close enough, or you can tweak it or change it to make it work for your students. And then I think it's becoming more clear by the day that this is probably going to be a reality for quite a while, whatever that means. And so I just wanted to reiterate that AoEU is so happy to be part of your support system, and we're going to continue to support teachers throughout the duration of this experience.
Yeah, and I think, it's really important to note that we have a wonderful community here of art teachers, and I think everybody's doing a great job of supporting each other. So if we can just keep that up, it's going to make everything a little bit easier for us as we move through this. But all that being said, it is time for us to get started. So our first guest tonight is Jocelyn Stevens. Jocelyn teaches pre-K through 5th at Dogan Elementary in Houston, Texas. Jocelyn, welcome, and how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, we are really glad you're here. Now to begin, I guess, can you just tell us a little bit about your teaching situation, where you are, how many kids you have, and just how you're handling everything that you need to do?
Yes, definitely. I am in my 3rd year of teaching. I'm teaching in downtown Houston at a Title I school to roughly about 640 students. And I'm the only art teacher at the school, so there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a challenge. Now, I know, you've been trying to reach out to your kids. One thing that's been working really well for you is videos. I know you've been recording a lot of videos for your kids. Can you just talk a little bit about what you're doing with assignments, what you're doing with videos to make them work, to make them connect with your kids, to help kind of keep your kids' attention?
Yes, well, I listened, a lot of my students shared with me throughout the school year that at home they watch YouTube tutorials for art. And they told me all these YouTubers that they watch. So I was like, let's see, what's the best platform? So I was like, let me turn myself into a YouTuber, because that's something that they relate to. And so I record tutorials twice a week. And we upload them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's just draw along videos. And I just make sure that it's something that they all could do. I know for sure they have some type of writing utensil at home. But not all of them have crayons and paint. So I try to make it something that we all can do.
Yeah, that's cool. And then do you have like a certain length of video that you try and shoot for? Like, are you trying to keep them shorter to keep kids' attention?
Yes, yes, definitely the attention span. And also our principal asked that all teachers, all the videos we uploaded stays under 10 minutes. That way we're not putting too much strain on parents, because for the younger grades, more than likely the parents are going to be the ones sitting there with the student watching the videos. So for attention span and to help the parents. And then for the assignments themselves, it's something that they could complete in 30 minutes to an hour, but I just keep my videos precise.
Okay, that's cool. Now, I guess, can we talk a little bit more about the lessons that you've done so far? Can you just give us a couple examples of what you've done and how your kids have responded to those?
Definitely. So my students, before we left, they were saying, I was asking them what they wanted to do after spring break.
Yeah.
A lot of them are interested in 3D art and optical illusions. And so we did an optical illusion, the first assignment we had last week. And we just started our full week last week of teaching online. And then, so we did an optical illusion where they traced their hands, and then we used different types of lines to make the patterns. And then this week we are working on 3D still lifes, 3D object still lifes. So I introduced them to a bit more on value, and I'm taking them through the elements of art each week.
Okay, cool. And then how are you having kids turn in work to you? Like once they get it done? Like I've seen you posting on Twitter a lot of like really cool examples of stuff. Like how are you having kids turn things into you?
Yes, so my school is using Class Dojo as a platform, and in Class Dojo, they are assigned a portfolio. So they have a portfolio for their homeroom teacher and a portfolio for us ancillary teachers. and and so every art assignment that I post, I make a activity and they upload to that portfolio. And so I can go in and look at the photo they uploaded and send feedback and say, you know, great job and all of that.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Now, I guess my biggest question for you, you said you have what, 640 kids, which seems crazy to me, 7 different grade levels. And I'm just thinking like, even with just 1 or 2 lessons per week, that becomes just unsustainable really, really quickly. So I guess what advice would you have for people? Like, how are you handling that with, like, are you simplifying lesson planning? Like, how do you make that work for you with so many kids and so many grade levels?
So since I'm required 2 lessons a week, what I've been doing is I would do a lesson for pre-K and kinder, and then a lesson for 1st through 5th, something that I felt they all could do. I'm seeing now that it may not be as sustainable as I wanted it to be. So what I've been seeing as the students are turning in work, a lot of them have siblings. We have about 57 sets of twins at our school. Most of our pre-K students have older siblings, and so they do their work together. And so what I'm doing now is just making one assignment and just scaling it down for the younger grades and allowing the older grades to be more detailed. So just kind of bringing in differentiation for everyone with one project.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, that's a good way to do it. And then I guess one other thing too, this is something that I know you and I have talked about with, you know, the issue of when kids are doing their online learning or they have a choice of like what they want to do, they're obviously like flocking to art. Like that's the most exciting, that's the fun thing that they want to do. And sometimes, you know, the learning for art can come at the expense of learning for other classes. So I guess the question is like, how do you deal with that with your colleagues? You know, what are those conversations like? And how are you dealing with that with your kids?
Yes, we have had that. There has been talk of some teachers saying that students should do their classwork before doing anything art or music or science related. And that's hard to hear. But I had to remind them that, you know, our students cope in different ways. And if a student right now is coping with art or music or PE, let's just let them do that. At least we are connecting to them. And that kind of helped the situation. And honestly, if they're being excited about coming to see the fact that they could do art and PE, it's going to also draw attention to their classroom too, their classroom teachers as well. So I just try to remind everyone to stay as engaging as possible, and the students will be there.
Yeah, that's cool. And then we had a question that just came through from the chat that I thought was kind of interesting. Are your kids required to complete and submit their artworks? Like, is this something that they have to do, or is it optional for them?
It's kind of fuzzy. What our homeroom teachers did was they made a suggested schedule, and they put you know, ancillary on there. You know, maybe spend 30 minutes a day doing PE or art. So nothing is really required. And also, we're still having trouble reaching some students, so we have to remember we can't really lean too hard on that right now. But yeah, it's optional, but they really are flocking to it.
Okay, that's good. I mean, we love to see kids making work, and I mean, you know, however we can make those connections with them right now, I think it's going to be really, really valuable. And then last thing, I guess, just do you have any other words of advice for everybody who's watching, people who are trying to make it work for big groups of students? Like what would you recommend for them?
Well, I definitely recommend you listen to the podcast, that Nicole Kahn, I think, posted today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Art Room podcast.
Yes. she mentioned that someone reminded her that whatever lessons you're doing or whatever method you're doing to provide art to students, make sure that it's sustainable because like Amanda said, we may be in this for the long haul. And so if you're stressing now, just imagine, you know, what it's gonna be like down the line. So I would say, I really did like hearing that in the podcast today, make it sustainable. And just try your best to show up for your students the way they saw you in the classroom. I know that technology it's kind of daunting sometimes to put yourself on camera. But if they just see you smiling, you're laughing, you're being goofy. Another thing that I do is I put my dog in my videos sometimes, and all of my students know my dog. They've never met her, but they know her. And so that also like relates to what we had in the relationship we had in the classroom. So bringing your relationship from your classroom into your videos, I think really helps.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. I like that a lot. So cool. All right. Well, Jocelyn, thank you so much for coming to talk to us. It's been awesome. You have some great advice for everybody. And we really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, you.
Thanks, Jocelyn.
You're welcome.
All right. So Amanda, what are you thinking?
I think teaching 600 kids online sounds hard. I was listening to a snippet of a Brene Brown. She was on like a CBS morning podcast or something, and she said something that really resonated with me, which connects to what Jocelyn was talking about. And she said, like, in a crisis, like, we usually have a map for how it's going to go. Like, there's a hurricane and, you know, we go through these steps and then we rebuild, and like, we can't see the crisis right now. It's like invisible. And so that's hard. And also she said, like, usually we run on adrenaline for those first few weeks. And she said, everybody has burned through their adrenaline, and that's really hard on your body. And now we're like weary, and we're already weary. And so think about how much longer we might have to do this. And so Jocelyn's advice to, you know, really sort of hone in on what you can do and what you can't do and what's sustainable will be really good advice, I think, for the long haul.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking right along those same things, where that many kids, it's got to be tough. But it sounds like she's doing an awesome job just trying to make connections where she can. And I think there's some lessons learned there. But I think, you know, the idea of sustainability is something that we're going to need to touch on moving forward, and maybe need to cover in one of the future weeks here.
Definitely.
All right, cool. Well, it is time to introduce our next guest. So our second guest for tonight is Jen Russell. Jen, hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and maybe a little bit about what you're going to talk about tonight?
Yeah, I'm Jen, Jen Russell, I guess, technically. You guys can call me Jen. We're all friends now. And I teach high school. I have sophomores through seniors, and I am at a 6A high school. I'm at Hebron High School in the Louisville Independent School District in Louisville, Texas. So yay, Texas tonight. And I'm super pumped to be here. And we're going to talk about how to connect with your students kind of sort of on a deeper level, not necessarily like deep, but just a little bit more than, you know, an email will get you.
All right, that sounds good. Well, I think Amanda and I will turn off our cameras. We'll turn it over to you and let you take it from here.
All right, cool. Okay, so when I thought about how to do this, it was really, really hard. You know, we left for spring break and everything was fine, and then it wasn't fine. And we're still not okay. Some of y'all have been in it for 3 or 4 weeks. I've lost count, and so have my kids. And like I said, I have high schoolers, and their sleep schedule is annihilated. It's destroyed. You know, I talked to some of my students today, and one of my kids is like, I go to bed at like, you know, 1 p.m. and wake up at 7 and then stay up for the night. I'm like, what is going on? And so I just, you know, thought about how to connect with my students and how to kind of sort of keep them connected to me and grounded in my class. And I really had to ask myself, what do my kids need from me right now at this moment? And what they were all just looking for was just kind of for me to remain the same, which is hard because I have a tiny tyrant that runs my house. He's 2, and everything blows up around nap time, which are my office hours. Those are my teaching hours. And so everything is dependent on him. He's running around. The dog is running around. My husband is also working from home. Everything is happening. The oven is going off, right? But they wanted me to remain as close to what their experience in our classroom is. So that's how I start my lessons every day. At school, I say that I monologue at the beginning of class. I'm a big Jimmy Fallon fan, and I try to like monologue just to get my kids pumped and coming into class. And we start on a funny joke that isn't always planned, but I think I'm funny. My kids laugh, whether it's out of pity or not, I don't care, but they laugh anyway. And so that's how I start my meetings. And we're on WebEx. That's the platform that our district has chosen to use. And so we are not on Zoom or Google Hangouts or anything like that. We're on WebEx, which is a really nice feature. You have a space where you can chat, and then you can meet and see everybody in the grid, and you have access to a lot of things. So we're really, lucky that our district went with that. And it is a little bit user friendly, but they wanted me to remain as close to the real deal as possible. So that's how I opened my WebEx meetings. So they also wanted just to see not just art, not for it to be so structured. I have, like I said, sophomores through seniors, but I have mostly juniors and seniors at a higher level. And so, we talk a little bit and then it's get to work, and they're with me for 90 minutes, and that's a long time. But now we've been instructed to not give them more than 30 minutes of work a day per class. And they have 4 classes. And so that's 2 hours of work a day. And I am at the bottom of the totem pole because I'm just an art teacher, but my kids want to do my class. And let's be honest, we all know this to be a truth, that our classes are always the favorite. That's just it. Not for everybody, but for the majority, and especially now. And so we've been just working on a lot of visual journals and mixed media projects, just so that they can use what they have available, whether it's junk mail, cardboard, like grocery store bags or whatever. So anything that they can find, they can use. Some of our kids came and picked up materials, but a lot of them don't have it. And so whatever they can find around the house is totally viable. I wanted to give them something, to send them something, because we just left so abruptly. And I was just scrolling through Instagram, and I follow a lot of art teachers, and I was seeing the teacher car parade, and it just made me sob because it was so wholesome and so cute. But here's the thing, I teach high school, and it's weird. It's weird if I pull up to a kid's neighborhood with 3 of my colleagues, because there's only 4 art teachers on our campus. Or I used to teach at a middle school, and it was just me, and I'm just gonna pull up and say hi. That's, it's not as fun. And my kids aren't awake during the day apparently anymore. And so I wanted to reach out, and I wanted to see what I could do. And I was scrolling, and I follow Laura Gardner at Mrs. Gardner's Artist. And she just had a bunch of mixed media, cool looking like little pieces of paper. And I clicked on one, and she had hashtagged it Postcards of Positivity. And I was like, this is it. And so she just talks about making a postcard out of whatever you have, and, putting fun colors on it and making it a little piece of art and sending it to your kids with something positive on it. Like, you're such a great artist. We miss you. Don't forget that I'm here for you. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. And I have a few here to show you guys, but I think about all of these things that I'm going to do in my classroom. And I just happened to have ordered these postcard templates from NASCO one year. I think they were doing a contest. I didn't do the contest, but I had these, and I just happened to grab these whenever I was let into my classroom for 15 minutes, and I just grabbed it in the haul of paper that I got. And so something really quick. These take me about 5 minutes a piece because I have like 60 to do. And I just take my little watercolor set, my water brush, and do just a quick wash, tie-dye wash. And then I I also hoard scrapbooking materials. When do I have the scrapbook time? I don't know. But one day, I had these like papers that have fun quotes on them and really meaningful quotes. And so I decided to cut them up and put them on top, put some micron pen on top of that, and called it a day. And this is what my kids will get. And, you just put the postage on there and that's it. And I got this from her, and she posts her kids getting her postcards and people getting postcards, and she'll send them to whoever wants that. And it's just so fun. And it's fun to get good mail and not like bill mail. And, especially for my kids who are not necessarily getting mail or getting stressful mail, because college mail is stressful. I thought this would be a good fun time for them, to use. And so thank you, Laura, because that was awesome. And I got permission to shout out Laura. So I'm so excited that she shared that with us. And then you can hashtag it and have them hashtag it, and they can make some too, and that could be a project. So that way we spread happy in a time that they don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on for sure. So we definitely want to spread the love and spread the positivity, and have them do something that they can, pay forward. I also connect with my kids on social media. I have secondary kids, but they're on Instagram. I have a Twitter, I have a class Instagram, and I post all their stuff on there. So as they turn it in, we use Canvas, and as they turn it in, I just download their picture. I ask them, hey, can I post it? Yes or no? And once they say yes, I post it. And if they follow me, and I follow them, I tag them on there. And I'm like, hey, look at what they've been doing, or look at what's going on. And I just posted something today, some of our visual journals, and our visual journals, they're using the Art of Education University's 50 visual journal prompts. And I just have them pick, here's this section that we're going to be working on this week, pick 3. And that's their work for the week. And so it gives them the autonomy that they want without the pressure of, this is how you need to do it. Especially right now when they just want to get stuff out. And so that journal prompt sheet has really worked wonders for my kiddos. So I shout them out on Instagram and on Twitter. And I also have done tiny tidbits now. My kids have 0 attention span. They will not watch a long video. And so I just time lapse. I've time lapsed me doing these cards and like just working on visual journals. And they're tiny tidbits of like 30 seconds, a minute 30, so that I can push it out on my Instagram and not have to do IGTV or anything that they have to click, that they just see immediately. And so it just gives them a little bit technique, a tape transfer technique, a watercolor wash. Here's pen over watercolor animals, whatever. Tiny tidbits so that they can, scroll, watch. They don't have to click on anything extra. And they said that they wanted to see not just art. I don't have a YouTube channel yet, but my kids are like, you should make one. I'm like, I don't know. I'm a stress baker. And so I just went on Facebook Live or Instagram Live and just, or on my stories, I'm like, look at what I'm doing. And here's the recipe that I'm following. Bake with me today. So I've turned into like, not Julia Child, but she's my idol. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I've done. And I walk a lot with my kiddo. And so I've started to track my walks and my runs. And I post just so that they can see an example of staying healthy and not just staying in bed playing Animal Crossing, which I have also done. But, that's another thing too, is that my kids are all on Animal Crossing, and I have just like, screenshot like my character, and my husband and I are on an island together, which is a test of our marriage. But, all of these things they want to see, they want to be a part of your life. And I'm very honest with my kids. And so that is something that has always been true in my classroom, that they wanted me to continue. And then as far as our meetings go, when we do meet, when we do have online classrooms, I make them themed. With my AP kids, Thursdays was their favorite day because somebody always brought cereal on Thursdays. And so they started Cereal Club, which was like an unofficial weird art kid thing, which I am the official home of the weird art kids, which is totally fine because we all are one. And so cereal parties on Thursdays, they were like, when I said, hey, when do you guys want to meet? They were like, Thursdays, it's our cereal party day. And I was like, okay. So we met today and everybody was eating cereal at 1:30 p.m. So, and they were like, well, we just woke up. So that's what's happening. And I was like, okay, cool. That's awesome. Pajama day, because my kids are always in PJs, and the top up for me looks great. Bottom down, it's leggings. So yeah, those are PJs. Like we're really good with theme days, like Coachella WebEx meeting day, or like Disney day, make them themed so that that's something that continues for my classroom. I'm in charge of our spirit days at school. And so they just know that I have an insane collection of spirit stuff, but I've brought it home so that I can continue that. So make your meetings, your class meetings, your videos themed, just so that they can see you and see that you're still here for them, that you haven't lost that part of you that they love to see in your class. Because yes, you might be stressing out. Like I stress out every day. Is the window at Target going to open so that they can deliver the same day? Or, if I walk outside without a mask, what's going to happen, right? But they don't need that, because they also feel that. So for the 30, 40 minutes that they see you a day, that needs to be a time that you are the most genuine you that they know, so that, you guys can continue to do your art class. So sorry, I feel like that was a lot and I talked a lot, but those are a few things that I do to keep connected with my kids. And so I hope that helps a little bit, so that it doesn't seem so heavy all the time for y'all.
Yeah, I know. I think that is a lot of really, really great advice, Jen. So thank you. That was wildly entertaining as well.
Agree.
Just a couple of things that came through in the chat. First of all, Laura Gardner is here, so she was excited to.
Yay!
So anyway, when you said thank you, she said you're welcome. So it was good to see her. So and she put her Instagram in the chat too, so everybody can check out what she's doing. And then there was a question that came through, Jen, to ask how your AP kids are handling portfolios.
Okay, so my AP kids are the kids that I just met with today. If you are an AP teacher, you know that the guidelines have changed. And so we are handling portfolios. We're moving full steam ahead. They know they can cancel because the school sent them the email. I just ignored it because I just don't believe that we should quit. We're not quitters. I don't teach quitters and I don't raise quitters. So that's just not what we're going to do. They're already going for it. And so I'm just continuing to push. So their work for me, they don't have as much of a lesson to do as, my art ones, my drawing twos, my drawing threes or whatnot. They just have to show me their sketches, drop them in the chat, drop them in, whatever we're using. I just need to see pictures that they're progressing. And then what's really cool is that in the chat, everybody can see their pictures. And so, it becomes a critique all the time. It's just continuous critique. And so, we're just like, okay, I want to see 7 pieces since we have to turn in 10 digital images. And then we're going to do 3 progress journal pieces or 3 experimentation images and so on and so forth. And so we're just going like nothing happened. We're just now digital. And that's kind of tough because their materials are stuck in my classroom. They only we're very lucky and very blessed to be a 1 per school, but they have their iPads. Some of them have Procreate, some of them don't. But I would say 75% of my kids are not digital drawers, and so it's just, they have to, this is the proof point, right? They have to be able to solve this problem. And that's what College Board wants them to do, is just to solve the problem of their theme. And so this is where, push comes to shove, like, how am I going to be as creative as possible with limited materials? Most of them have colored pencils and things like that, but, they don't have the access to the plethora of hoarding materials that I've acquired through the years. And so, we're doing the best that we can, and they seem in good spirits, and, they're like, heck yeah, man, we're going to do this. And so I'm like, okay, cool, awesome, great. And so I'm going with their flow, because I I was really nervous. I was like, you guys, maybe this just wasn't our year. I was ready to with that speech, and they were like, oh no, we're doing this. I was like, okay, we're gonna do this.
That's awesome. And then lastly, before we let you go, can you give us your Instagram handle so everybody can follow?
Yeah, and I'll type it in the chat too because I'll stay for the chat. I'm at the Russell Art Room, 2 S's and 2 L's. So you see me do this a lot. So the Russell Art Room, 2 S's and 2 L's. Yeah, and then you know, my Twitter is on there too because that one's like a little bit more complicated because I got Twitter first, but whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can put it in there, that'd be awesome. And if you guys have any more questions for Jen, like she said, she'll stick around in the chat and you can feel free to ask her there. So Jen, thank you so much. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jen. I just wanted to pop in super quick before we move on and say that if you missed it in the chat or if you're on Facebook and didn't see it, there are 2 downloads that go with Jen's presentation as part of this webinar. So 5 ways to connect with your students while teaching online, and then that 50 visual journal prompts that she was talking about is a resource too. So anyway, just wanted to make sure you saw those.
All right, thank you. And now I know a lot of people were thinking that maybe they're going to get away without doing a poll tonight, but you were wrong. We have a poll. Why are you shaking your head at me, Amanda? Okay, so our next presentation is going to be all about professional development. And so our question for you is, how much time are you spending on professional development right now? So if you're on Zoom with us, you can vote. If you are on Facebook Live, if you can just type your answer into the comments, that would be awesome. So how much time are you spending on professional development right now? First answer is, that's how I'm spending all of my time. Second is, I've started to dive in. Third is, I'm not doing it yet, but I will be soon. And fourth is, who has the time? And I'm seeing 0 votes come in, so I'm guessing that nobody can see this. So if you can just type your answer in the chat, I would appreciate it. So again, how much time are you spending on PD? All of your time? You've started a little bit, not doing yet, but you will be soon. Or finally, who has the time to do it? Okay, wow, our chat's going crazy all of a sudden. So
Yeah,
that's
I like
exciting. All right, so I got exactly 2 votes in, so I'm not sure what's wrong with Zoom, but that's okay. So Amanda, how did you answer that one?
I have started to dive in, but if you were here a couple weeks ago, you know my life is pretty crazy, and I also don't really have the time. So it has to be like really short, like podcast, book chapter, little snippets here and there. So that's where I'm at.
All right, sounds good. You know, I think for me, yeah, like you said, I've been trying to fit it in just here and there. Like for me, Pro has been really good because, you know, you can just watch those short videos, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. You can squeeze them in throughout the day, or sometimes just as I'm winding down, like I'm kind of a nerd, but I still want to stay connected with art teaching things. And so, you know, I'll watch a few videos in the evening. So just whenever I can fit it in, you know, I try to do that. So I think,
yeah, that's a good point. I saw some questions. Does this webinar count as PD? This webinar does not count as PD officially. Of course it is PD, but you can earn official PD hours through our PD platform Pro, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, or right now. A few minutes. So we can explore that more. All right, can we dive in with Shannon?
Yes, please give us an introduction.
Awesome. So our last presentation or event tonight is we are going to bring on Shannon Loffer. So Shannon is our Dean of Student Services and Admissions at AoE, which means she's really an expert on the journey that our students take through our graduate level courses and our master's degree. And we're going to bring her on to talk about, like I said at the beginning, just kind of how not to lose sight of your professional goals during this time and how to stay connected with the field of art ed as a whole. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that, a little bit about Pro, a little bit about other stuff. So welcome, Shannon.
Thank you. Super excited to be here. Am I unmuted? I'm good, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So super excited to join. I've been watching the webinars each week. And I mean, obviously just such a crazy time and unexpected for everybody, but you know, the webinars have been so helpful. So I'm super excited to join you guys tonight. Thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you. In case people are unfamiliar, can you just start and talk a little bit about AoU's offerings in terms of grad classes and the master's degree?
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with the graduate courses, we've offered these for almost 7 years. So I actually started as an AoE student way back when. The courses looked a whole lot different then, but I took AoU courses or AoE courses before we were a U as electives for my master's degree. So I'm super passionate about our coursework because it's the first time that I was able to really connect with other art teachers during my graduate work. And to get new ideas and grow as an art teacher and then bring that stuff back into my classroom. So love that they're like filled with actionable ideas. The courses have come a long way since then. So we've developed studio courses and a full course offering. So now we have over 20 courses. Tonight I'm going to talk about our brand new course that we just released this evening, like 1 hour ago. And so we're obviously developing new courses all the time. And as of about 15 months ago, launched a master's degree.
All right, now I wanted to ask you, Shay, I know a ton of people are looking at the master's degree right now. You've been swamped in admissions, I know.
Busy?
Yeah, do you think it's just because people have the time now, or why is everybody coming to this right now?
Yeah, I would say people having more time than they're used to is definitely a big piece. Obviously that time looks a lot different than it has previously. So home life looks different, job looks really different. But even though that's happening, there is a lot more time. So we have a lot of people that are reaching out and saying, you know, I've been wanting to do this. I've been thinking about taking a course and I finally have the time to look at it. So now I'm ready to learn more. So I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is, you know, really realizing that it's the perfect time to invest in PD. So Amanda and I worked to create a document that kind of goes through 6 different things that we've identified as why people are using this time to, you know, earn more PD and to learn more and really invest professionally. And I think it's kind of that idea that now is a great time. Summer break kind of came a little bit earlier than we thought. And so now there's extra time. And what I'm doing a lot of reflecting on is when I went back for my own master's degree, which was in 2008, which was kind of a scary time in the economy, economic downturn. And I knew that I wanted to stay really relevant. I wanted to set myself apart from other teachers. And I wanted to prove to my administration that I was totally irreplaceable. So I went back, I learned everything I could learn and used that to really advocate for myself and my position in my program. So I think it's that kind of art teacher advocacy that drives so much of what we do that's also driving people to really seek a relevant PD right now.
Yeah, and Amanda, I guess I wanted to ask you too. You're the director for Art Ed Pro. Like, has there been an uptick in usage of Pro as well?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to share my screen really quick because if you don't know what Pro is, it is our PD platform. So here is our Pro library, and you can see all of these different learning packs. There are 7 pages of them. So if you don't know, it's kind of like a mashup of Netflix and Pinterest just for our teachers. And so it's super exciting. You can dive into all different kinds of topics, and then you can actually earn PD hours. You can see here 2, 3, 4 PD hours for each pack. So yes, we have seen an uptick in Pro usage in the past month. I was able to connect with our super smart data guy, shout out to Ross, who let me know that actually Pro usage has been up 33% over the past 3 weeks, which is kind of incredible. So we know people are diving in and using it. And I know we're having a lot of individuals take advantage of our $150 off of Pro. So if you're an individual user, you can use the code 150OFF when you're purchasing, or even better, you can get your administration to come on board. And we've also been seeing a lot of that because your administrators really want to support you during this time, but they may not know how to do it. They don't know how to do it when we're in session as an art teacher. And so they really don't know how to do it now. And so a lot of them are really maybe even more receptive than they would have been in the past to getting you the support and the PD that you need during this time so that you can continue to up your skill set and stay relevant with your kiddos even during this crazy, weird time.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Shannon, we had a couple questions pop up in the chat and something I wanted to ask you about anyway. Can you talk a little bit about individual courses, whether those have seen an uptick too, and just kind of what's out there?
Yeah, for sure. We've seen a big uptick in people taking individual courses. So like I said, we have all of our courses that you can take individually, almost all of them. And then if you wanted to, those could then translate into a master's degree, or a lot of people use them for a plus 15 or a plus 30, climb that salary scale. So what we're seeing is, again, an uptick in individual course takers. It's not summer yet, so summer is our super, super busy season for individual course takers usually. People take advantage of that summertime. And so we're also seeing a lot of people kind of taking what's happening in the world right now and finding the best course for them. So we're seeing a big uptick in studio courses, which I think really speaks to kind of what I'm sinking my time into, which is art making. We're seeing an uptick in people taking art therapy for art teachers, looking for kind of therapeutic ways to create art for themselves and then also for their students. A big uptick in flipping the art room, trying to flip their instruction to be more successful. Another thing that we're seeing is a lot of people who are interested in the master's degree start with an individual course. It's a really good option if you're not so sure about learning online, if you don't want to commit to 36 full credits. You can start with one course, and then if you decide that that's a really good bet for you, that could just become a part of the master's degree. So we're also seeing a lot of people who are interested and not quite ready to take the plunge yet. One more thing that I'm going to tell you about our newest course. I think the other thing that's really important to talk about is to be a good online educator. It's really important to learn how to be an online learner. And I think, a lot of us seek information online. Obviously, we're kind of crowdsourcing and looking, but to understand the actual student experience, to jump into an online course really allows you to see things that your students are experiencing and determine what you like, what works for you, and what doesn't work so well. So I think even just by taking one course, you might experience some stuff that you could bring directly into your classroom. So now I'm also going to share my screen. I was like, oh, I should have done that before. So I am going to share my screen and show you the brand new course that we launched as of today, which is Teaching K-12 Art Online. So what we saw is these webinars, people are hungry to learn more. These are perfect for the here and now. There are tons of ideas that are being shared. And what people are asking in the chat during the webinars and after the webinar is like, I love it, I get it, I want to take it back to my classroom, but I need a little bit more of a bridge. So what's great about the coursework is you're going to get feedback from your instructor every single week. You collaborate with other people in the course every single week. So you're able to get kind of that feedback loop that we know people are really looking for. So I'm excited about Teaching K-12 Art Online because it's a 1 credit course. It runs for 3 weeks and we're going to launch it in May. So this just went up on the website today, like I said, about an hour ago. So it is available if you want to enroll in this for May. We're offering it May, June, and July at this point. Certainly will help with the here and now, but also as we start to think about, really what teachers might be facing in the future. It's likely an expansion of online learning. We're going to see distance learning playing a bigger role in what every teacher is doing, what a lot of schools are leveraging. We've talked a lot in terms of like snow days might be something of the past, and who knows how long something like this will last. There's just so many question marks. So anyway, this will be a really exciting offering. We're so excited to be able to release it right now in May.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And Amanda, I guess I need to ask you about new offerings too. You mentioned earlier about the new pro content that came out. We know it comes out every month, but can I ask you, like, what are people responding to, or like, what are you excited about? What are people excited about? What are they watching right now?
Yeah, well, I think that it's kind of taking three tracks. I would say the tech packs are kind of popular. Things like flipping your classroom basics, so you can learn how to make those videos for your students. Things like digital photography basics, so you can kind of pass some of those skills on to your students, so you can have a back and forth dialogue with photos like Jen was talking about. And then also packs that are helping kids with more open-ended assignments. A lot of teachers are giving those open-ended assignments because we don't know what kids have at home. And so things like generating ideas for art, or helping students plan artwork, or switching from a traditional to a choice curriculum. Those kind of packs are popular. And then also media packs that address things that students might have at home. So creating with unexpected materials, or that collage for early elementary pack, our drawing packs, things like that that can be taken into online learning. But beyond that, I would say that you should think about personally, like what might you want to get out of this time, and you can tailor your plan to meet that. So Shannon and I actually put together a download that I'm going to share that kind of helps you figure that out. And so can you guys see? Oh, I shared my whole desktop, didn't I? That's okay.
We can see
right.
the download.
We can see it. All right. So this is the download. It's called Designing Your Path to Personalized PD. And it kind of goes through 3 different steps. So it has you reflect on your practice to determine a focus area. It has some focus questions for you to be able to do that. It helps you outline your specific goals, and then helps you sort of find and search for relevant options that would help you meet those goals. Like, can you consider things inside of ArtEd? Can you consider things outside of ArtEd? Maybe there's a podcast you want to listen to that kind of ties into your theme. And then creating a PD path to help you reach your goal. So we created 3 paths for you. So just as an example, maybe you want to increase student engagement. Maybe that's online or elsewhere. Maybe you want to learn how to demonstrate online, or create new units and lessons that integrate student choice. And then we've given you some of our top picks for both AoE courses in this row, and Pro Packs in this row that might help you do that. And so that's just a really simple format that you can follow if you want to start to use this time, maybe in a more effective way, or maybe in a more focused way.
Yeah. What I really love about this is, kind of the idea of like, okay, now there's more time. And so my go-to is like, I'm going to learn how to knit. I'm going to start a puzzle. I'm going to download 6 new podcasts. And all of a sudden, time has gone by and I dabbled in everything and become a master of nothing. So the idea of like defining a goal, breaking it down, and then seeking stuff in the field and outside of the field, I think is really, really key.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess
Sorry. Someone just said I went too fast, and I apologize because I know I'm a fast talker, but this is available as part of the webinar. So you can download it. Lindsay can throw the link in the chat, and then you can read it on your own time. So just wanted to point that out.
Cool. I just wanted to add one thing too, along with pro and graduate courses, we have so many free offerings on AoEU, and there's so many things outside of our website too. Like, I want to just give a huge shout out to all of the art teachers who have been sharing, whether that's on Instagram, whether you're participating in other conferences, or just sharing files on Facebook. Like, there are just so many great things happening. And even just, I like to look up distance learning, like hashtag distance learning, and just see what people are doing, or even like e-learning and at-home learning hashtags. There's so much out there that is just fascinating to look through if you have the time. So everybody who's watching right now, we have a quick job for you. If you have a favorite social media account that you love to follow, a Facebook group or another group that you're part of, or another offering that you think people should know about, share it in the chat. Like, let's build a list, let's crowdsource a list of really cool accounts to follow, really helpful things that people can find online. And if you just want to put your own Instagram account in there, that's cool too. We'll leave that up to you.
Plug your own Instagram.
And then the best part, I think about this, we're saving the chat. And so if you want to go back and find the chat, and the list of everything that's in there can be a great resource for people. Now, while everybody's sharing all of the great stuff that we know about, I have one more question for you, Shannon. You talked a lot about courses. Can you give us your top 3 courses that you think teachers should consider taking if they are looking for a course?
Yep. So I think, are we talking like right now, or just in the whole world generally? Because my lists are different.
Oh my God. Whatever
Okay, all right.
you like to
For
do.
right now, I think the three most helpful courses are obviously going to be teaching K-12 art online. That'll be really about defining what looks different about your teaching, what looks the same about your teaching, and how to translate what you do to this now distance learning world. I think curriculum is a really, really awesome choice right now. Traditionally, that's looking at, for most teachers, designing your curriculum in a classroom. But I love the idea of taking that, shifting your mindset, and using it to collaborate and get feedback on what a curriculum looks like in a distance learning setting. And I guess a third one, I guess I would say in terms of most useful would be flipping the art room. Really leveraging video content and flipped learning right now especially is great. And I think even when we all get to go back to our schools here in the future, it's going to be a game changer. If you get comfortable with it right now, like that could be your perfect PD path right now to really invest your time in, create a great library for your classroom. And then once you get back, really just take off with your curriculum in a flipped learning setting.
All right, very cool. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for coming on. We're very, very excited to check out the new course. I'm glad you could announce that. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, that is going to be it for us. And Amanda, amazingly, we almost finished on time.
I know.
It's an accomplishment. All right.
Fourth time's the charm.
Yes, fourth time is the charm. All right, if you missed part of this webinar, or you want to watch the entire thing again because it was so good, or if you want to share it with someone, it'll be on the AoEU Facebook page as well as the AoEU website. If you pre-registered for it, you'll receive an email with a link to the recording as well. And as we say each week, keep coming back to the AoEU website for lessons, resources, ideas, graduate courses, professional development, whatever you might need. And we're just going to continue to do our best to support you and do everything we can as we continue to move through this situation.
Thank you so much to all of our presenters, and thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.